into game number 1 of tonight's Riot Duos on Thursday. We are in Wrangle 2.0 and we are with team number 3, Riot, made up of Mystic and Ghost. And we have an western to eastern flight path, starting off just to the side of Hospital near to the coast and finishing off just north of Lipovka. Have a couple of teams that have jumped early, Team 43 ZPX being one of them, as well as Team 38 ILU. We have Team 34 Deathly Hallows, as well as Team 22 Salty Snakes heading up to Georgia Pole there. We have a huge number of teams jumping off near to the school and Rotok, with the Elf team being one, Jen being another, Zen and Level 1. And then we have a couple of teams jumping near the end, heading over to Yasnaya. So I think the action is going to start off possibly at Rotok, possibly at Yasnaya, with 4 teams landing really close together, Team 3 being one of them. So let's stay put for the time being, see these teams land, and we will see where they go from there. And here we go, shots already being fired. Mystic has a DP28, a really powerful weapon, but one that will take you ages to reload. So you need to have another, possibly AR, possibly SMG as a support weapon. And Mystic has found the great combo of an M4 and a DP. And there we have Nyx getting a knock already. So let's go straight over to Team 10, where we find Vape Denny and Nyx. And Vape Denny has just been knocked. And that is Team 37 Elf with Climb being knocked to. Nyx now going up against the other teammate. And that is 2 kills for team number 10, with Nyx now going to get the revive on Denny. They do have Team 42 nearby, so this might be their opportunity to run in whilst they're weak and get relatively 2 easy kills. And it is PDX. And with Subi just there too, it is going to be harsh. And here we go. They are running in. They are pushing. Subi's just coming through the window. That is Vape Denny knocked. Subi is damaged too. Man is running up, but has just retreated down the stairs again, with Nyx being upstairs. And now Nyx has jumped over the wall. And that is Subi getting the finish on Nyx there. A great example of taking the opportunity when it's given. They let the Elf team do the damage, and then they ran in at the end and got the 2 kills. So that is now 2 kills for Team 42, PDX, ZPX. Ant-Man is doing a little bit of a dance to celebrate his victory. So let's leave them to it for the time being and go straight over to 70, where we find Sneak and Laws of Team 47 right next to Team 33. And that is made up of CL Jokey and Exotic. And it looks as though that they are focusing solely on the looting. But Ant-Man has just got a knock on Phil. And they are now going up against team number 9. And that is made up of Zen the Don and Phil. So Phil is not. Ant-Man is going in to get the first, and that is Phil down. And where is Zen the Don? And he is running in. So it looks as though they did a massive split, with Don now making his way into Yasnaya. So I'm not sure if that was just a miscommunication or perhaps just a differing of opinions. I'm not all that sure at the moment. But as a result, that is Phil taken out. So that makes it 3 kills for Team 42. And just like that, Psycho gets a knock on Lionheart's mat. And that is Matt and Zeiss of Team 27 now taken out. With both of those kills are going to ZPX Psycho. But let's now have a look at the zone. Whilst Fitzy takes down Jen Nick. And that is his own teammate. Which is fair enough. But the zone now is going up to the northern end. So onto the northern island, keeping in play Seveny, Storba, Yasnaya, Rozhok, School, Pachinki, Hospital, and Georgiopol and Zaki. So we're looking at a fair few teams having to come up from the southern ends and the eastern side. Strange enough, we have nobody on Military Island, which is a little bit strange, but it's not unheard of. And we don't have anybody in Nova Repnoi either. And I think that stems from the fact that as more and more updates are released on PUBG, the loot that is made available at places like Novo and Georgiopol are being weakened. And, you know, we don't really know the reason for that. It might be because they want to give the players an equal opportunity, or it might just be that they're trying something weird and it really hasn't worked. So Fitz is now preparing a grenade. Fuji has retreated back. Grenade goes over on the right hand side of the shed. Doesn't hit a target. Shots are now being fired at Fitzy as they now try and go up against Sword and Snake, Avery and Fuji. Now we've got Jen Nick just trying to find a location. Now back inside the shed. Fuji is firing towards Fitzy. And they're now rotating on the left hand side. And rotating around again. Grenade goes in, more shots being fired. And here comes a smoke blocking Nick's view from that window on the left hand side. And Fuji is now rotating back around the side that he's just come from. And is trying to slide in, now behind the tree. And Avery is firing towards Fitzy, but Fitzy's just moved location. Grenades are now going in, smokes included. So smokes are now covering that building, restricting the line of sight of Fitzy, which does make Nick a little vulnerable as he won't have the support until those smokes die down a little. We have Fuji behind the tree still, Avery just behind the shed. And now we have Team 44 CL just moving in. And Avery's been knocked by Fitzy and the Uzi. So Fuji will now want to try and get the revive, rotating around the side. So Fuji's now rotating around the side again. And that is Fitzy getting the finish on Avery. And here we go, Team 44 CL are now moving in. Fuji's being fired at by Shay, now going up against Jen. And that is Jen Nick getting the finish on Fuji. But they will need to be very, very careful as CL are right next door. Shay is just by the wall. It looks like Fitzy may have noticed them. And that is Fitzy taken down as Shinobi gets Jen Nick with a grenade. But for now, let's move back over to Team 42 as Ant-Man gets the knock on Zen Rider. And that is Alex, killed there by ZPX Ant-Man. So they now have 5 kills, Team 42. And the zone is now starting to move in. And we've now got Ant-Man just scoping in towards Team 48, which is the dead team. We have the teams coming over from school, one of them being Team 40, Fusion Elite, and the other being, I believe, Team 28, Lionhearts. Now, the only player who is not inside zone is Psycho and Nash of the ZPX team. They are really taking their time to come in, and they have quite a way to go as well. But just looking at their placement, they're in Primorsk. They will need to move north. And with the way in which they might be going, they could come straight into Deathly Hallows Team 35. And the point is that they were in zone. So that means that they had the perfect opportunity to keep ZPX out of it. Letting the blue zone do the majority of the damage, and then them sneaking in at the very end in getting the finish, meaning that they do not have to do a lot of work. So their resources can remain intact. They won't have to use a lot of bullets because the blue zone will be gradually chipping away at their health, and they will then just have to come in at the last minute and just fire a couple of shots to get those kills. But it looks as though Sons of Odin, DJ Sniper and the Viking has just been finished off. And now we have Team 39 with Deathly Hallows taking down the ILU team. And now I think what we will do is go straight over to Team 17, Jen. But for now, it looks as though the Gen team of Jen, Chezak and Spook are safe. But Manraj has just got a knock of their own. So let's go straight up to Team 38. We've got Madney who's knocked. And finished off by Dizo of the Salty Snakes, Team 22. So we've now got Manraj just below them. And that is Dizo taken down. So unfortunately, Manraj has lost Madney, but manages to get 2 kills for Team 38. So that's not too bad. Not ideal, but it's the best of a bad situation. But let's now visit Team 26, Fusion Elite, as they come into contact with Team 23, which is SK Tonka and Primus. Oh, and that is Primus just getting those bullets around the door and takes down FE Bar. Gen Tequila has just been taken down. So let's go to Gen 1 Pound Fish. And that is the Elf team of Elf Cronus and DC Firestrom. Now they are both inside the red zone, so they are at risk in itself. So we've got 1 Pound Fish just proning, trying to creep in to get a sight of Elf Cronus and DC. And whilst they are just sneaking in, let's look at the zone now. So it's moved slightly east. And here we go. So £1 Fish is now shooting towards Elf Cronus. And he has a VSS. So that can be deadly if you manage to get that drop right. But as I mentioned, the zone has moved to the east slightly, keeping both islands in play. We are losing areas like Zaki and Georgia Pol, and we are losing Yasnaya, or at least part of it, as well as Pachinki now being out of bounds. The majority of the teams are still inside zone. We have Team 29 Lionhearts that need to move in, and that is Gem 1 Panfish getting a knock on Elf Cronus. DC's coming in. Grenade is out. And that could actually be a really well thrown grenade. Ooh. And now Gem 1 Panfish is throwing grenades. All he would really need to do is just get in there and start spraying. And Elf is up. DC is behind the tree. Genfish is vulnerable and has been spotted by DC Firestorm. Elf Cronus is rotating around and is now knocked. Elf Cronus is in the grass. Gemfish is going to be taken down. And that is it, with Elf Cronus just managing to sneak around. And we'll now try and get the revive on DC Firestorm. They do seem to be alone, so it should be a safe revive there. But let's have a quick look at Team 40 Fusion Elite. They are right next door to Team 28 Lionhearts Grizzly and Proxy. So we've got Tau just rotating left. We've got Grizzly and Proxy in the main building. I think you can just about see Grizzly through that second window left. Tau is now trying to throw a grenade. It could be a really well thrown one, but it just comes off short. And it wasn't badly thrown, but it was going to be a difficult throw, mainly because Tau was blocked by the wall there, so couldn't see the height or the angle at which it was being thrown, so it was going to be a rough guess. But it wasn't a bad guess. So we now have Grizzly just to the left of the gymnasium. We've got Tau and Amani inside the swimming bath. And we have Team 4 Riot just coming in from Pachinki, travelling down the road in a vehicle. So if shots are fired, then the Riot team may stop off to get involved. Oh, and Grizzly is taken down by Amani. Riot would have heard that, but they are choosing to go to the apartments. So they may now try and scope him from there. Amani is in the bottom floor. Towel is coming in too. Grizzly is back up. And they are now jumping out into the centre and now in the bottom floor. We've got Proxy on the top floor. Deathly Hallows now coming in. And that is Grizzly taken down by Amani and the Uzi. Proxy is now starting to make a move. And that is Proxy finished off by Towel. But we do now have Redders and Siren of Deathly Hallows starting to move in. And we are now 21 minutes into game number 1. So we are just past halfway. And we have 11 teams remaining, 21 players left. So let's have a brief recap. So we have Team 4 Riot with 2 kills. Team 23 SK with 4. Team 25 Pen with none. Team 33 CL with 4. Team 35 Deathly Hallows with none. Team 38 ILU with 4. Team 40 Fusion Elite with 4. Team 43 ZPX with 3. Team 45 Elf with 3. Team 47 Loz and Sneak with 2. And Team 48 Dead with 3. And here we go. So we have Deathly Hallows over at 15, moving right towards the eastern direction. Here comes a plane, so we could be expecting a drop. And there it is, just over at 70. Looks as though the Fusion Elite team haven't spotted Deathly Hallows. But we do have a vehicle on fire, so they will know that something has gone down here. So they should just be a little bit wary of who could be nearby. And especially by having both Fusion Elite and Riot in the close vicinity. They are at risk by being so open and not having a vehicle. But there is a Jeep just down the road at 95. So they should have a viable option if they need it. And here comes Team 48. And they have just driven down towards 20. And have now decided to drive away and have gone towards east. So Team 35 are perfectly safe for the moment. And now smokes are going in. So it looks as though they don't realise that that team has moved. So they have wasted 6 smokes in just that moment. And will now probably spend time trying to look around that compound to see whether there's anyone there. And then they will see that there isn't and realise that they have just been fooled, really, by the other team. I think it was Dead, Team 48, who have managed to persuade them to use up their smokes. As I'm sure you can appreciate, if it is an open terrain end, then those smokes can be more valuable than you will ever know. But got on them. They have got the vehicle, so we're now moving 100 in the eastern direction. And FE Amani has been taken down by the play zone, as has FE Tau, which I am surprised at. And now we've got Lars being taken down. That is Team 47. So Sneak is now moving in to try and get the revive. We have got Team 33 CL over to their right. We've got Team 45 Elf, Cronus and DC just ahead of them. And Sneak is now being hit by the right team of team number 4. And there we go. So we now have Goddess with the DP28 firing towards Team 48 dead. Unfortunately, we have lost Sneak and Loz. I think they were in a vulnerable position being so close to Team 45 and being fired upon by Team number 4. Any other day, it might have turned out differently. Unfortunately, the cards were just dealt against them. So we have a member of Dead now knocked, and that is Team 48. They're being fired upon by Team 45 Elf. And now we have Deathly Hallows coming in. The airdrop is empty. And they're probably in the most vulnerable position, being in such an open area. And that is Dead Duxie being taken down by the play zone. Dead Zozo is now trying to run in and just about makes it. And is now crouched behind the tree. But it is Siren that gets the finish. Great eye from the leader of Deathly Hallows. And now we've got Penn, Team 25, over at 35. As well as ZPX, Team 43, over at 350. And the CL team at 355. Goddess takes down Deathly Hallows Redders. And that is Redders finished by Riot Get Good. ZPX Nash takes down Exotic. And CL Jokey down 2. So we have now got 5 teams remaining, 9 players alive. We have Elf Cronus and DC Firestorm from Team 45. Riot Get Good and Goddess from Team 4. We have ZPX Psycho and Nash at 350. Pencons and Help at 15. And then Deathly Hallows Siren just creeping in behind. But she will need to move fast. We've got Team 45 now driving in towards them. And that is Help, finished off by Elf Cronus in the vehicle. And ZPX Psycho is now taken down by Firestorm. Molly's being thrown in, courtesy of Penn. And that is one vehicle down and out. And that is Siren taken down by DC Firestorm. Elf Cronus is knocked. Firestorm now trying to get the revive. We've got Pencons at 320 Northwest. We've got Goddess and Riot Get Good over at the compound at 255. And then we have ZPX over at 310. Now a decent grenade from Pencons could be all it takes. And that is Firestorm down. And now Pencons is now crouched again behind the hay bale. Firestorm's trying to get to Elf Cronus to get the revive. And Pencons is trying to get a rotation there. Ooh. Oh. And Pencons takes down Firestorm, and Elf Cronus grenades himself. As ZPX Nash takes down Pencons. So it's now Riot Team 4 against ZPX Team 43. They are complete opposite sides of the map. And team number 4 have the zone. So all they need to do now realistically is just wait for Team 43 to make their move. And then they can start knocking. A bit of strange parking from the ZPX team. And here comes the zone. Goddess firing in towards Nash, who loses around 60% of health. Has now used a first aid kit, I believe, and some boost. Psycho is now trying to run in with the zone. Is now starting to take health. That is Nash down, courtesy of Goddess and an M16, and that is it. The end of game number 1, and in first place with 6 kills is Riot. In second, also with 6 kills, is ZPX. In third is Penn with 2 kills. In fourth is Elf with 8. In fifth is Deathly Hallows with 1. In sixth is CL with 4. In 7 is Dead with 3. In 8th is Sneak and Loz with 2. In 9th is ILU with 4. In 10th is SK with 4. And in 11th it's Fusion Elite with 4 kills too. If you have enjoyed this stream, please follow the channel for more content. We will be back in just a moment for game number 2. This is the Riot Duo Scrims on Thursday. I am Abs, and we will be right back.